Welcome to another episode of InRange. Today is Bullpupalooza. You look down the line here, we've got a number of bullpups, from some of the more first generation kind of things, or maybe second generation, we want the terminology there, down to the most modern one on the line right now, which is the new Springfield Hellion, which is derived from the Croatian VHS2. But of course the MDR at the end down there is, of course, very modern, as is the FF2000. So what we have today is a two-gun action challenge match that's designed with difficult shooting positions, vehicles, tight constraints, all of those things that a bullpup should be particularly good at. But Ian, you had some thoughts on what we're testing today as well.
Yeah, so the idea is to compare the different bullpups that are on the market right now, and there are really two generations of bullpup combat style rifles. You have the original military ones, which are the big three being the FAMAS, the L85, and the AUG. We don't have an AUG here, but what makes the FAMAS is sort of our baseline here, because it is the oldest gun. It is one that was not originally designed with optics, and it's been sort of kludged with this PGMP rail to put optics on it. That said, it is a top-tier, military-capable, many decades of experience in the field bullpup, and we know that it runs great.
So comparatively to modern rifles, it's pretty simple. You would load a mag here, which on bullpups you would typically have the muzzle up, load a mag in, rack the charging handle. It has no last round bolt open, so every time you replace the magazine you would have to rack the charging handle back again. To release the magazine, there's a little lever here, and it impinges on a little protrusion on the front of the magazine. You can hit it with the back of your thumb when you want to do a quick reload. That's about it. That's for grenades. And you can swap, of course, left to right, including the coverage. You want to shoot left-handed.
The question is, how do some of the more modern options compare to it? So we have a pair of the new Springfield Hellions. This is the Croatian VHS2 that's been imported in semi-auto form. So the thing I really like about these, Jordan, is they actually made them left-handed, which is perfect for me. So,
wait, mine's right-handed.
Well, yours is clearly broken.
Oh.
So, okay. So actually, yeah, it's a really easy process. Instead of having, like on the FAMAS, where you swap the extractor and ejector in order to change the ejection side, on this, you can actually, the cam pin is set up, so you can pull it out, rotate the cam pin, rotate the bolt over 180 degrees, and then just reassemble the rifle, and pin one of the two dust covers in place. So our charging handle is ambidextrous. Pull it to whichever side you want it, but very much like a G36 there.
Yep.
Magazine bolt release?
So the mag release on this one for Stanag mags is just a small button right there, works perfectly fine. And then we have a bolt release right here. It has a last round bolt hold open, but not a manual bolt hold open. So when the bolt's held open, you just beep, or you could rack. It's a non-reciprocating charging handle, which you could rack if you want, but why when you can just do a little clicky.
So mag in, squeeze, chambers around.
It has a 5-position stock under spring pressure, so you can put it into however long you want. For armor or not, we've kind of found the sweet spot is about 2 or 3 spots, and then you get the best length of pull.
So to compare to these as well, we have the F2000.
Well, the FS2000, the semi-auto variant. Also, this one came out in the early 2000s, 2001. Did not become very popular, and so it is no longer available for sale in the US. Okay, it's very simple. There are very few things to worry about. Standard charging handle. Locks open. There is no bolt hold open on an empty mag. To change mags, button, grab, pull. There is a gasket in there to prevent dirt and mud and debris from getting inside the action, so it is not drop free, so you do have to grab and pull it free. Safety is in the trigger guard right there. Everything's very ambidextrous. If you look up here, that little flap covers the ejection port. When it fires, pulls the brass out, and the little plastic chute there forces it up into a tube, which causes it to fall out the front.
And then to represent the commercial end of the spectrum, we have an MDR, Kevin, right?
Yes, this is Tech MDR 556. This has got a lot of ambi controls. Right now it's set up for right-hand eject. You can just swap from side to side, so you can have right hand or left hand eject. Although this one is good because, again, kind of like the VHS, if you keep your face back far enough from the ejection port, because it goes straight out, it doesn't come out to the side, so it should be okay for that. As far as manual of arms, we've got kind of an HK kind of thing. It's all ambidextrous. You can pull it back and lock the bolt back there. It's also got a bolt lock back here to hold it open. So when you change the mags, it's got 2 mag releases. You can do it right here and pull it out, or you have one on either side for your finger. So that's really handy for the people that are used to ARs. So you can just stick the mag in and then hit the bolt release with your thumb, so it's ready to go. So they've put it through quite the testing regimen. I know the early ones had issues, and InRangeTV came up with some of those issues, and they addressed those. And
that thing in 5.56 has been flawless ever since.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in that regard, it's going to be somewhat subjective. Not everyone's going to shoot every gun today. We're going to have everybody shooting the same stages. But some people, even if guns are completely comparable in terms of their performance, some people will prefer one to the other. But this is going to be, we're going to go through this, we're going to look at the scores, and at the end of the match, we're going to have a discussion about how did the bullpups handle through this course of fire, each one from the earliest generation to the most modern, and 3 of them being really militarily applied. All right, we're done with the match, and the results are here, but we're going to get to that later. What I want to do is talk to each of you about your experience in these different stages with the bullpup and how it handled for you in that environment. So why don't we start with the FAMAS? And let's start with the vehicular stage, the first one we shot today. How did the FAMAS handle in the vehicle?
I can't use it left-handed, which means that in the vehicle I had to extract myself almost half my body out to be able to shoot it without shooting brass in my teeth, which wasn't really an issue. I think the other problem I have is that at that sight height, I actually can't get a cheek weld. There's nothing there for me.
Right.
So everything's kind of floaty, and there's just a little slight wobble in the mount. So I think those issues made my shots a little bit difficult.
Yeah, so one of the things that people talk about a lot of times is like going to support side isn't necessary. However, in a vehicular cause, which is this is a vehicular stage, going support side there is probably one of the most realistic scenarios where you might need to do that. And then the floaty, that's a result of trying to modify an old design to have a red dot.
Yeah, it wasn't optics ready, and that's the result.
And that's how they got there.
Yeah.
Hit! Left. Hit! 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 Out the window. No, you gotta shoot outside the window. Low right. Low right. Hit. 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 Move. Double taps allowed. Way high right, high left. Low left. High left. Hit! Hit! Bar! Ian, how did you do with the Hellion?
I liked it. I think I certainly could have done better with more practice, because I have only had this thing in my hands for about a week now. But I was really happy with how everything actually performed, especially the left-right switching. It was, so I knew it would be fine when I was doing the vehicle windows, because I'd practiced that, because I figured it would come up. But when I got onto the VTAC barricade, that bottom port was really hard. And what I found really interesting about the bottom port is I actually had to run the rifle, I ran the rifle right-handed on the bottom port because I wanted it ejection port up, which then brought me in on the right side of the gun. And I was able to shoot this right-handed while ejecting left-handed from a weird position on the ground, and it didn't actually hit me in the face.
And the reason for doing that is you didn't want to take the risk of causing a malfunction by brass ejecting and bouncing back in?
Exactly. I was expecting that if I laid the gun flat on the ground on the ejection port side, I was going to cause malfunctions with the ejector.
Although we don't know for sure who would have or not, but that's a chance, a risk.
But that's one of those things where I would rather take a little extra time and do it right and make sure that I won't have a problem than try to rush it and end up with a cascading set of issues. Some sort of strange malfunction where there's no more bullets in the gun.
Under it.
Hit! 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 Hit!
Nicely done. Jordan, you also used the Hellion. How did it go for you in the vehicle?
Well, I'm not the best shooter, but this thing definitely makes me look a lot better. So far, the only gripe I really have is the safety. It's a little high to reach, but I'm sure that can be taken care of. But as far as actually being in the car, going left to right is no issue at all. I had not even, the brass wasn't even coming close to my face. So the whole thing about this being able to switch shoulders without swapping the bolt, it's not made up, it's real.
Yeah. We should also point out, before we get past the Hellions, we had a grand total of no malfunctions with any of them.
That's true.
The whole time here. The zeroing, we took these out to the range to zero them before the match, and we had no malfunctions there either. You're all around it. Hit. 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 Good. Hit. Hit. Left. Hit. Hit.
So how'd the FS2000 handle the vehicle?
Ergonomically, back and forth, flawlessly. The ejections out the front means I don't have to worry about getting like bounce back into the action. I don't have to worry about where the brass is going to fall because it's just going to bloop out the front. What is a problem though is the trigger. It is so mushy and there's not really a clean break on it that when I'm trying to shoot in a weird position, like at the bottom of the VTAC barricade, I'm not really able to support it all that well. And so when I'm trying to like bring in the trigger, it causes the rifle to sort of move around a bunch, which when you're shooting at more than a handful of yards is the difference between a hit and a miss. And admittedly, my shooting was not great today, but I was not in any way helped by the trigger. And I think that is really held me back on that stage. But once again, ergonomics, back, forth, left, right, no issues, perfectly fine. That was great. But the trigger.
Yeah. Trigger, I have an FS2000. I've shot them quite a bit.
Yeah.
The trigger on that is
Staple gun.
staple gun. Yeah, it is. Double taps allowed. Can't tell. Right. 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 Low left. Right. Kind of all over the place. Hit! 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 Left, right. High right. Low left. Right. 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 Left. Hit! 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 You're done. How about the MDR?
Well, the MDR, well, let me give a little experience. This is only the second bullpup I've ever fired. I fired with a Kel-Tec about 10 years ago. We did it in a match, so that my first shots through this gun were on the clock. So, given that, I really like it. It shot really, especially in the Bronco. It was really easy to maneuver. I didn't even think about what side of the rifle I was shooting on. I just grabbed it and fired it. The only issue I had during the handling in the Bronco is because I'm a little unfamiliar with this. I'm used to AR patterns, and the safety is really easy and really small, and I kept inadvertently putting the safety on by mistake while I was moving around in the car, and then I couldn't figure out how to get it off a couple times. But that was just me, a little familiarity. But it shot, I mean, I didn't have any trouble hitting the ones. I didn't even think about, I go down, what I had during the VTAC, I had it on the right side down, but I held it up off the ground. I didn't have any problem. The ejection forward, I didn't, like I said, I didn't even think about it. It really handled well, and I had a lot of fun with it. So.
Go out of there.
Go. Big target. So in that regard, I also shot the Hellion. So I borrowed Jordan's Hellion and shot that. And all I can say is it was flawless and hammered. I had no issues whatsoever. Ambidextrous handling was superb. Coming out the car was superb. Moving it in and out of the vehicle was superb. The safety's hard to get to. My only complaint at that point was the safety's kind of got this long reach. The trigger's a little mushy, but not nearly as mushy as the FS2000. So in regards to the triggers we have here today, The MDR definitely has the best trigger of the bullpups,
yeah.
but the Hellion is not bad. What you have to do is there's the take up, and it's kind of just mush, and then it breaks. It doesn't even break clean, it just breaks. I don't know how to put it any other way. But if you have follow through and you just stay on target, it's not a problem. It didn't inhibit me. So what I would say is that while it was a bullpup, changing sides, no issues with brass or ejection, obviously no malfunctions, reliably easy to hit both sport side and strong side. And as long as you've got follow through, nothing about that stopped me from doing a good score, quite honestly.
All right, so overall winner was Carl with a VHS by a not trivial margin. Second place, and actually what's interesting is both of the stages are our relative positions to each other were identical.
Yep, we'll go about that in the next stage.
Carl first, then Kevin with the MDR. Third was me with the VHS. We have then the FS2000, the VHS again, and the FAMAS, sorry.
It's okay.
Not surprising considering the FAMAS is the oldest design on the field.
Yes, exactly.